Welcome to Cinema Bites. Your go-to for movie recaps in a flash, big twists, epic moments, all in just minutes. The story begins with a young woman named Tess, who moves to a new city. She arrives at night by car to the house she rented for a month. However, when she searches for the key in her bag, she doesn't find it. She calls the number she rented the house from, but it's switched off. Frustrated, she decides to wait in her car. Suddenly, she notices a light on in the house. She peers through the window and sees a strange man inside. She knocks hard on the door, and the man opens it, asking what she wants. She tells him that this is her rental house, but he responds that he rented the house as well. They both realize they've been scammed. The man, Keith, suggests she stay the night, but she insists on staying in her car until she finds a hotel. Keith warns her that the neighborhood looks unsafe, and she eventually agrees to stay until she finds a hotel. However, when she calls the hotels, they're all fully booked due to a city conference. Keith convinces her to stay, and she decides to sleep on the couch, but Keith insists she take the bedroom. She agrees and goes to shower before sitting with Keith, who asks her why she came to the city. She explains she has a job interview as a documentary researcher and is meeting a famous author. Keith recognizes one of the author's works, and Tess is impressed. They bond over their shared interests, drink together, and then retire to their respective sleeping areas. In the middle of the night, Tess hears her bedroom door creak open. She gets up but finds no one. She also hears Keith making distressed noises, as if having a nightmare. She wakes him up, and he screams at her in shock. She apologizes and locks herself in her room. The next morning, Tess prepares for her interview and finds a note from Keith saying he enjoyed spending time with her and would like to see her again. He also writes down the house's lock code for her. Tess smiles and leaves for her interview. She meets the author, who is impressed with her. When the author asks where she's staying, Tess mentions a neighborhood in Baltimore. The author is shocked and warns her that the area is dangerous and advises her to leave immediately. Tess brushes off the warning, saying she has a roommate and feels happy there. Returning to the house, Tess notices how eerie the neighborhood is, with abandoned houses all around. Suddenly, a strange man runs toward her, shouting not to enter the house. Terrified, she rushes inside, locks the door, and calls the police. However, they tell her there are no available units to assist her. She hangs up and tries to calm down. Exploring the house, she discovers a rope sticking out of the wall. Pulling it reveals a hidden door leading to a dark basement. Overcome with fear, she decides not to enter but later uses a mirror to reflect light into the dark space. Inside, she finds a locked room. When she opens it, she discovers a bed and a camera, realizing something sinister has happened there. Just then, Keith returns, and she signals to him from the window. He retrieves the key and helps her out of the basement. Shaken, she tells him what she saw, but he doesn't believe her and decides to check it out himself. Tess reluctantly follows him, but loses sight of him in the basement. She finds another hidden room with stairs leading further down. Using her phone's flashlight, she ventures deeper and finds cages stained with blood. Suddenly, Keith appears, injured, saying a woman attacked him. Tess urges him to leave immediately, but before they die, a disfigured woman emerges and kills Keith by smashing his head against the wall. The scene shifts to Tom, a TV producer driving while enjoying music. He receives a call from his lawyer, who informs him he's been accused of assaulting a news anchor. Tom's company has fired him, and the media is about to publish the story. Devastated, Tom visits his lawyer, who advises him to sell his properties to cover his expenses. The lawyer also resigns from representing him. Tom decides to sell his assets, including a property he owns in the city. He visits the house, unaware of its dark secrets. When he arrives at the house, we find out that it is the same house that Tessa and Keith lived in. When he enters, he finds bags everywhere and the basement door is open. He calls the rent manager, who tells him that the last tenant was there weeks ago, and it is impossible for anyone to be in the house. Tom is surprised and keeps searching the house and screaming if anyone is there. When he does not find anyone, he calls his friend on mood. They go out together. He goes to the club, and they keep drinking until Tom comes back home and sleeps. The next morning, Tom wakes up to an alarm and notices Tessa's car keys and belongings. He hears noises coming from the basement. Armed with a knife and flashlight, he ventures into the basement, unaware of the horrors awaiting him. The lever in the middle and the rope on the wall are pulled, and the door opens. At this point, Tom is happy, climbs up, and starts searching on the internet to check if the basement is considered part of the house's area. He finds out that it does count and decides to go down to measure it to know its size and how much he could get if he sold it. He takes the measuring tape, goes down, and sees the room with the cameras. But he continues measuring without paying attention. He is happy as he walks down the stairs, so he keeps going down and measuring until he suddenly reaches a room with blood and a television. The room's smell was very disgusting, and the television was showing a program about breastfeeding. Tom is surprised and leaves the room to continue measuring. entering. Suddenly, he hears a sound coming from afar. He becomes very scared and anxious. He takes the flashlight and points it forward, shocked when he sees the same woman who killed Keith. Tom runs away and keeps running until he falls into a pit. The cage door locks behind him. Then, Tessa appears and tells him to stay quiet because he shouldn't panic in front of her. At this point, the woman comes and demands that he drink from the milk bottle in her hand, but he refuses. Tessa tells him he must drink because she considers them her children. When she offers the milk, Tessa drinks from it, but Tom continues to refuse. At this point, the woman enters the cage and takes Tom out, forgetting to lock the cage. Tessa quickly escapes, quietly following them until the woman and Tom reach the room with the television. The woman tries to make him drink the milk, and Tessa uses the opportunity to escape. However, she hits a metal object on the ground, making noise, and the woman hears her. The woman starts chasing her until Tessa reaches the basement door, only to find it locked. She quickly goes back to the window, breaks it, and escapes. The woman is right behind her, but before she can catch her, the strange man who had previously warned her about the house appears and pulls Tessa out, saving her. It turns out this man is the same one who had warned her earlier. He tells her that the woman has been living in the house for a long time and that she must leave the area immediately because the woman roams at night. Tessa tells him that someone is trapped inside and they need to save him. The man tells her to think of herself and leave the area quickly, saying she's lucky to have escaped at all. Tessa listens to him and walks until she reaches a gas station, where she calls the police and asks them to come with her to the house to rescue Tom. When they arrive, they find the door locked, and since Tessa doesn't have a key, they don't believe her and refuse to break in. They leave her there. At this point, she breaks the window, retrieves her car key, and as she gets in, she finds the woman in front of her. She hits the woman with the car and enters the house to save Tom. Meanwhile, Tom hears someone calling for help. He walks through the hallways until he reaches a room and finds an old man lying there, very weak and unable to speak. The old man pulls out a gun, and Tom fears he might shoot him, but the man ends his own life. Tom takes the gun and looks around the room, finding several recordings with the names of many girls. He realizes that the old man had been taking these girls and filming them in the room with the camera. Tom becomes scared and leaves the room. He starts hearing a sound nearby, raises the gun, and shoots, only to discover it's Tessa. He picks her up, and they flee the house until they are spotted by the strange man who had saved Tessa earlier. The man takes them to his house, but Tom insists on taking Tessa to the hospital, feeling responsible for what happened to her. The man tells them that the woman roams the area at night and has been living in the house with her father for 50 years, bringing children there. Tom asks if he's sure the woman won't come to them. The man replies that he's been living there for 15 years and she has never come to him. Suddenly, the woman appears in front of them, attacks the man, and kills him. Tom immediately runs, leaving Tessa behind because she's slower. They reach the stairs and climb them. When Tom reaches the top, he finds no escape, and the woman is still behind them. Tessa remembers the gun he has, but in his panic, Tom drops the gun onto the street. The woman gets closer, and Tom tells Tessa there's only one way to escape, but he needs something to distract the woman. Tom pushes Tessa down the stairs, and the woman jumps after her. Tom runs down and sees that the woman landed on Tessa, softening her fall. He notices that Tessa is still breathing and apologizes to her. Suddenly, the woman gets up and kills Tom. She then returns to Tessa, who is crying from her injuries. Tessa is shocked by what's happening and realizes that the woman is treating her like her daughter, intending to keep her captive forever. Tessa notices Tom's gun on the ground, grabs it, and kills the woman. She quickly escapes to save herself, marking the end of the film. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get more new videos. See you next time.